Well, new at 10, big development plans are in the works for downtown Greenville's University Ridge area. That's where that new county square sits.
And with lots of change on the way, one developer is trying to make sure the past is present. Fox Carolina's Kennedy Harris has more.
I didn't know them personally. I knew of them.
The greens represent the dollars. The black eyed peas represent the change.
But just heard the stories from so many people about the impact that they've had on several families' lives.
Chef Kenneth Manigault's restaurant was once a thriving staple, nestled between the West End and Haney Serene.
They had a brunch there, and a friend of mine was playing the saxophone.
James Jordan remembers visiting once before it closed.
And I remember how just beautiful the grounds were.
He's the owner of Jordan Development, a firm already working on affordable apartment projects in Greenville. But recently he bought the Manigault house and the law office of former Senator Theo Mitchell, once influential black-owned businesses.
Those individuals made an investment in Greenville, and they believed in the area very early on when it looked a lot different than what it does today.
Both properties have been empty for years. The Manigault restaurant falling so far into disrepair, it's been condemned. So both properties will have to be demolished. But Jordan says their legacy will continue.
I would love to do some things that preserve the legacy and where we tell the story of the contribution that two very important families made to this community.
Jordan's still working through ideas, but he says it'll honor the past while fitting in with the current and growing landscape of the area. Kennedy Harris, Fox Carolina News.